Let me tell you about the life I live, right? Better known as the baller life. It's not. I'm all about my baller status, just doing it big on a daily basis, like cruising in my car, chilling at the bar.
What's up, YouTube? This is James from Ballin' on a Budget Auto. So today I'm back with you again with the Ford Mustang. The major issue that I was having is that whenever I was driving, it felt like my passenger wheel was about to fall off. Turned out, after going through some couple diagnostic tests, it actually turned out to be the wheel bearing. Both front wheel bearings were pretty rusted out. The bad one was certainly the passenger. So I went ahead and changed that out off camera, but I wanted to actually show you on camera what it was to change out the driver's side on the 99 Ford Mustang. Now, changing out the front wheel bearings on the Ford Mustangs, it's really not that difficult. Right here is a step-by-step procedure of how you yourself can change that out. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole bunch of diagnostic tests to show you in this video, but I will be having a follow-up video for my Volkswagen right here. These wheel bearings, man, they're bad. I'm actually going to show you a video of what it sounds like. Check this out. Listen to that. Damn. See, them wheel bearings are shot. Like, at least that driver's side, I'm going to be switching out both sides. Like, damn. Just goes whoa, 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 non-stop, whoa, 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 with every rotation. So as you can tell, that was really bad. You'll hear that growling, you'll hear that grinding, you'll hear that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da with every rotation. Now, sometimes that can be also your tires as well. You might have uneven wear on your tires, but these tires I know for a fact are new, so it's not that. Now, another test, when you jack up your car, take the weight off of the suspension on the front wheels, and then you're gonna grab the tire from 12 o'clock and 6, and you're gonna shake it back and forth. And if you have any play, you're not supposed to have any play, that's a good sign that your wheel bearing is acting up. And then if you spin your wheel, if it's got a grinding or rusted or it's just gritty and it's not smooth, it could be that time to change out your wheel bearing itself. The only signs that I had with this 99 Mustang was that grittiness whenever I turned the wheel. It did not have any play either direction, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 and 9. But man, the driving, the handling of the car was terrible. Like I said, the passenger wanted to just fall right off. So that was a clear sign that I had some wheel bearing issues as well as that grittiness. But enough talking, we're gonna go ahead and jump on that. So with this video alone, you'll be able to learn how to change out your front wheel bearings yourself. So let's get it.
The first thing you gotta do before working towards getting off your wheel bearing is you have to get off your caliper. So we're gonna start by loosening up our first 15mm bolt just right here. Okay, there's our first one, and then there's our second one. Okay, there's our second one, and now our caliper is ready to come off. So I'm gonna get a box where I can rest it on there so we don't put any stress on the brake lines. All right, so now that we got our brake caliper off, we can go ahead and take our rotor off. Should slide right off since we took it off recently. There's that, and now we're down to our bearing. So on these Ford Mustangs, you have a protective cap that covers the wheel bearing nut. So we're gonna go ahead and knock that off. We're just gonna use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. Now you can see the wheel bearing nut here, and that is a 36mm. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off. So we have our 36mm on our impact. We're gonna get it set and we're gonna take it off. There we are. So being that that wheel bearing has been on there for a while, we're gonna see if we can slide it off. If not, we're gonna use our hydraulic puller. Oh, wow, look at that. Wheel bearing comes right off. And honestly, this wheel bearing wasn't all that bad, but since we replaced the passenger side, we had to replace the driver's side. So now that we got that off, we're gonna clean that off with some brake cleaner. Okay, and now that that's clean, we're gonna go ahead and get some grease and we're gonna go ahead and spray it down a little bit. Now we'll go ahead and unbox our brand new wheel bearing. got our wheel studs already in it. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can slide this on. There we are. Nice and smooth. All right, so every time that you switch out your wheel bearing, it's important to get a new nut because these are single time use. But first, before I place this on, I'm going to put a little bit of thread locker on because you don't want to be driving and this pop right off. Your entire wheel would pop right off if you did not lock this in tight enough. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and thread the new bolt on. And now I'm going to lightly secure it with our impact, and then we're going to torque it down with our torque wrench right afterwards. Okay, now that we got that lightly torqued down with our impact wrench, we want to be accurate with our final torque. So I'm going to go ahead and get our torque wrench. So according to torque specs, it's recommended to torque this down to 221 foot-pounds. There we go. And now we're finally torqued down to 221 foot-pounds. So, and then from here, all we got to do is just do all of our steps in reverse. So we're going to put on our cap to protect our wheel bearing nut. Then we're going to put on our rotor, our caliper, and then we're just going to torque down our wheels and we should be set. So we're going to go and put on our wheel bearing nut cap. Push it into place, hammer it in, make sure it's flush with your wheel bearing. Going to slide on our rotor. And then just to make this easier, we're going to go ahead and put a bolt on, lock it into place while we're putting back on our caliper. Let's go ahead and put in another one on the opposite side, just to prevent any movement. Okay, now that that's nice and steady, let's go ahead and get our caliper on. Now with our caliper in place, let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and lock it down. Okay, now that it's locked into place, let's go ahead and tighten it down. Before we lock that down, I'm going to put on the bottom one. It's a helpful tip when putting in the bolt. You might have to shimmy the caliper a little bit so it can lock into place. Then we're going to go ahead and tighten those down. And we'll go ahead and tighten in this bottom one right here. There we are. Caliper's on there nice and secure. Okay, now that our caliper is nice and secure, we can go ahead and unloosen these nuts here. I know, I chipped the hell out of my caliper. I'm about to repaint it. So we're definitely gonna do a video with that. Everything feels like it's on there secure. Let's go ahead and put our tire on. Okay, with our tire ready to be mounted, we're gonna go ahead and get it into place. There we go, we're gonna go ahead and sturdy it there. Put in our lug nuts. Okay, now we can go ahead and bring our car down to the ground. So now that we're all the way to the ground, we're gonna go ahead and torque our lug nuts to 85 foot-pounds. I'm going to run through it one more time. Okay. Now that is how you change out a front wheel bearing on a 99 Ford Mustang.
After all that work, man, man, I can't even, you have no idea. The car is driving so much smoother. I mean, I feel like there's a little bit more power because, I mean, there's none of that restrictive rustedness of those front wheel bearings. It just drives so good. I mean, just take my word for it. Now, as you can see, that wasn't really that difficult. Very satisfied with the work that was done. If you do have any questions regarding this, feel free to comment. So I hope this video is helpful. If so, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, consider subscribing so you can see the latest content from Ballin' on a Budget Auto. All right, guys, stay tuned. I hope this video is helpful. If so, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing so you can see more content from Ballin' on a Budget Auto.